The WWE Hall of Fame stands as one of the most emotional nights on WWE's calendar. It is a night where we honor the past, look back at moments that made us go in awe, and also pay respects to those who came before us in the professional wrestling world. However, in recent years, the WWE Hall of Fame has become a shell of its former self. A night that used to be about celebrating the accomplishments of the heroes of professional wrestling has turned into just pure content for WWE to put out on Peacock. And while I personally understand why WWE would want to do it from a business standpoint, I honestly do believe that this year WWE killed the Hall of Fame. And it comes down to two major decisions that WWE under Triple H just made that I am going to talk about in this video. So be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. I'm Omer Q for Real Take Wrestling. Let's dive right in. As I mentioned before, the WWE Hall of Fame was a spectacular night on WWE's calendar nearly every year for the better part of a decade. We would sit back and watch as legends of this industry would go out there and talk about their lives, both in and out of the ring, many times bringing us to tears, making us laugh, and making us respect the amount of effort that they put in for our amusement. That is what the Hall of Fame once represented. It truly was a perfect way to start off WrestleMania weekend. WWE's phrase of then, now, forever, there's no better way to symbolize that than the WWE Hall of Fame. However, in recent years, there have been two major errors that WWE has made in killing the Hall of Fame. And the first one we're going to talk about is the changes to the format. The WWE Hall of Fame for years was a standalone event. First in the 90s as a simple behind-the-scenes thing that was not meant for public viewing. However, it later transformed into something that took place right before WrestleMania, many times in hotels or in larger theaters, and would honor the past in a way that befit the legends of their time. And to me, as someone who looks back at professional wrestling history, this was very important. I love the WWE Hall of Fame, and I know that I'm in the minority when I say that. I understand that the WWE Hall of Fame isn't the most splashy, spectacular piece of content that WWE produces every year, but the reality is that it is more than just content. It is us as wrestling fans looking back at what paved the way for us to be here today. The industry outside of WWE even would not be here and exist in the way that it does without many of the names who've been inducted in the Hall of Fame. And also, on a personal note, one of the things I enjoyed so much about the WWE Hall of Fame used to be the way that these Hall of Famers would come out there and take it seriously. Yes, there would be jokes, there would be laughs, there would be sometimes even little segments, but you could always tell what was real and what was a little bit of the gimmick. And more often than not, there was more real. And you go back and look at some awesome Hall of Fame inductions like that of Jake the Snake Roberts in 2014, or Scott Hall, or one of my personal favorites and an underrated one, the Bushwhackers, who made us laugh, cry, feel, and respect all in the same segment. That is what's spectacular about the WWE Hall of Fame. And what made the Hall of Fame so great was a couple of years ago, it wasn't as tight-knit and scripted as it was. You could see wrestlers going off the cuff a little bit more. Think about the Ultimate Warrior's speech. I promise you that was not scripted. That was Warrior speaking from the heart. And those moments simply do not exist in the modern day. Outside of Paul Heyman's speech last year in Philadelphia, which we all know Heyman's going to be an exception, we haven't had many of those moments recently, and we likely won't have them for years to come. Again, the WWE Hall of Fame used to happen every year at WrestleMania week. However, a couple of years ago, they made a tweak to it where it would kind of happen right after SmackDown, which, okay, you want to keep eyeballs, you want to try to keep that momentum going, fully understand, you don't want to make it a separate ceremony, that's cool. But over time, as the event became more scripted, as the event itself wasn't the draw, you could tell that the fans in attendance there were not there for the Hall of Fame. They were there to get their stuff off. They were there for SmackDown. Many of them would leave. And it just felt like the energy that we used to have about a Hall of Fame was no longer present. You combine that with the fact that this year WWE announced that the Hall of Fame would be taking place at 10 p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. Eastern time, basically in the middle of the night, at a time where no one is going to be watching it live. I think that's a bit of the nail in the coffin there. And it's not like it's going to be on immediately after SmackDown. SmackDown, of course, is going to be over by 11 p.m. Eastern, which begs the question, why the hell would you move it to 1 a.m.? Of course, they're going to be on the West Coast, so to the people over there, it is going to still start at a relatively later time, but early enough for them to still be up at 10 p.m. But I think the changes to the format have led to a deprioritization of the Hall of Fame and have led fans to believe that it is no longer important. And when you combine that with the thing that really pissed me off, WWE beginning to include moments as Hall of Famers, I think there's nothing more you could do to dilute an already diluted process for the Hall of Fame than adding in moments. It is cheap. It is disrespectful to many names who are still not in the Hall of Fame. I don't care how you put it. I don't care how great a moment is. You can celebrate moments at any point. And I am not against them doing so in a little highlight package. I am not against them doing so and taking a couple of minutes out to talk about this. But doing an entire speech and taking up an entire spot that is probably more deserving to go to a legend of this business, that is what I don't care about the Hall of Fame anymore. Because, quite frankly, WWE does not care. And again, I understand I'm in the minority on this. People want easily accessible, quick, cool content that they can immediately relate to and engage with. And that's fine. WWE has 6+ hours of TV to do that every single week, and probably 9+ hours this year each day for WrestleMania. You have plenty of time to do that. The Hall of Fame is one thing where WWE can afford to do a little bit of teaching. The Hall of Fame is the one night of year where WWE can afford to pay respects to the industry and, more importantly, the people who paved the way for them to be as profitable as they are now. If there's one thing you don't include in this big content monopoly that WWE has become, it is the Hall of Fame. And to me, I understand that not many wrestling fans today are going to mark out or click on a TikTok video about Great Gama, Gotch, Bockwinkel, all these great... I understand that. But don't you think, given that WWE, the company that prides itself on spectacle, the company that prides itself on being the place where moments are made, wonderful, great, don't you think they should take one night of the year to actually educate wrestling fans on the people who created this industry, on the people who supported this industry, on the people who paved that way? Personally, I do, and I think as of right now, WWE has done too much to dilute, destroy, and decimate what was once one of their coolest nights of the year. You probably disagree with me. Let me know in the comments section below. Also, be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released.